Ooh, it's a celebratory moment. The forgotten 80s film won the Patreon poll, hence why we have the Windy City poster framed. As you can see, the clear winner with 46% of the vote is the 1982 film Soup for One, and it's very obvious why. It's winter, it's cold outside, it is definitely soup weather. As many claimed, I'll have the soup, thank you very much. But there were still some supporters for the other choices, like this comment that says, "I'm still rooting for The Exorcist, come on little buddy, you can do it!" It didn't do it. It still fared better than The Prowler. After Dirty O'Neill, I guess people had had enough of Prowlers. Also, I think this guy's all souped out for the winter. He's moved on to macaroni and cheese now. At some point, this movie had to win because, like Windy City, it's got a Saul in it. As in, the film stars Saul Rubinek. Here's what we've learned so far over the years. Saul Rubinek is always great, and Garrett Graham is always great. Put them both in the same movie, and who knows if it'll be good, but I'm gonna watch it. The plot of the film is your typical Woody Allen exploitation of the time. It's about a single guy who works in the entertainment industry and is looking for love in New York City. Hell, his name in the movie is Allen. Although he is playing an editor, so it's a little Albert Brooks exploitation too. But what really sold me on making this a choice was the poster. When you're looking for love, you'll find yourself doing some very funny things. Yes, like crash landing little Nemo's bed in the water and rowing to safety. Even the VHS cover is odd. Ugh, why do these strippers have to ruin this perfectly good bowl of soup? I'm trying to eat my lunch. Also, this is mine. You can't rent it or buy it. Wait, did he ditch the bed for a boat? He must have fallen overboard from the other Saul's pirate ship. I better get to this classic. My soup is getting cold. Hopefully, it's the Vichyssoise of movies. This is a very easy movie for me to riff. Look, it opens with its own educational short film.
A team of Canadian scientists investigating the biological implications of single living.
I think this movie might get silly. I wasn't sure how this movie would open, but I certainly wasn't expecting disco dancing rats. Oops, I think you may have used cocaine in your soup and not salt. Truly, these scientists are making the future better.
The lab was forced to shut down and was eventually converted into a homosexual bathhouse.
See, the movie is The Ritz now. Okay, joking aside, what is happening? Oh, now I get it. They gave Garrett Graham some money for a news report, so naturally this is what we got. Ta-da! And once again, Garrett Graham is about to steal a movie. Poor Alan is getting married in 5 hours, which obviously means he's super depressed, but not his friend Brian. See, he is definitely gonna be disco dancing with some rats. Now this I certainly expected, a mopey person over a sad title screen. After some supporting roles in Death Ship, Ticket to Heaven, and By Design, this was a very early lead role for Saul Rubinek, and while the movie came and went in theaters, it did get high marks for its very disco-y soundtrack by Nile Rodgers and Bernard Edwards of Chic. The film was written and directed by the late Jonathan Kaufer, who would do a little bit of writing for the series Dream On, and you can tell.
And I spent the past 3 months begging her to be my bride. Problem is, she finally said yes. You think she's trying to smother me?
This movie better not get neurotic. Never mind Chic, this is shot like a Bernard Herrmann score could be played over it. I've always said that when you leave out the hyper-stylized products of certain decades, movies like this and Windy City are the real time capsules of the time. Back when lounge singers only had one job.
I dream, yeah.
Teddy Pendergrass is here to make sure everyone in the club gets laid. Most of the movie is a flashback to how he met his true love, and his single life is typical Woody Allen-style gags, like how he says he's so bored of the single scene that every woman he talks to looks the same, while everyone he's talking to has the same wig, and one of them even turns into him. But hey, that still works out for him. The music of Teddy Pendergrass wins again. I think all of this is being told in a therapy session, which will probably turn out to be a gag later. Hey, might as well though. This is the kind of movie that feels like it was scripted in therapy. And while watching a boatload of Kentucky Fried Movie knockoffs, because that's what TV host Brian's set looks like. Gotta admit, I would watch this show.
I should be writing my book.
Well, Alan, don't tell me you're still threatening to write that dumb history book.
He makes every movie good. Between Saul Rubinek and Oy Vey, My Son is Gay, to Garrett Graham, this movie is a who's who of past Snob episodes. Christine Baranski? Please let this be better than Marcy X. They keep ignoring her throughout their whole conversation, as if she was randomly sent over by Bowfinger, secretly directing the film. Don't worry, one of them hooks up with her.
Jesus Christ, are you guys homo?
This is his biggest turn-on. Get in the cab immediately. We'll leave Alan with another flashback within the flashback. Now they're in college. Jesus, Ted Mosby, just tell us who the mother is. I don't need to see you eating a sandwich in school. Though it is nice of them to turn the lights out during the sex scenes. It means I can show it.
I'm not dripping.
Alan, it's blood. You're bleeding.
Oh, God.
I'm assuming one of them is dressed like Strokey-Mon. That'd be less awkward. Here's the line when they turn the lights on.
I'm probably the only man in the history of sex who ever bled when he lost his virginity.
Not true. I lost mine to a pineapple. This is the kind of universe where I assume it only rains on this man. He's so desperate to find the girl of his dreams, he actually goes to a police station to make a sketch of what his dream girl would look like.
Oh, God, yes. This is really her.
Yes, we all dream of marrying someone with chop-off-your-dick eyes. Careful, or Alan is gonna start to feel a little shallow. Like when he hatches an escape plan due to his current date talking way too much. Excuse me, but I was promised he would be rowing away on a bed. Not gonna lie, Alan seems a little dramatic. But one day he will soon be engaged to his beloved Daphne Moon. And when we come back, he'll go on more dates and complain about them.
And now it's time for Lloyd's Out of Context 911 Lone Star Clip of the Week.
Oh, thank you guys for everything.
And this has been Lloyd's Out of Context 911 Lone Star Clip of the Week, where all clips are Lloyd approved.
Just in case you're wondering what movie we're watching, it title drops.
Soup for one. It's the story of my life.
We have a title in a scene that looks like it's only there to say the title because it has nothing to do with anything else. It moves right along to another singles night where Brian went to the Lloyd Christmas School of dressing up for a date. I see this working.
Dental hygiene. You know, I think that's a vastly underrated profession.
See, another successful night for him, another night of finding familiar Cinema Snob episodes for Alan. There's Andrea Martin. Christmas for Alan is going to be a black Christmas indeed. He's like a 1982 George Costanza. He complains a lot, but seems to have no problem hooking up. She's making every man's dream come true. She wants to do it on an Asteroids arcade.
Another moment has arrived. Seize it!
And her boobs give points! I'm surprised it's taken this long to flash back to his childhood.
I know that boys of your age attempted to take young ladies into closets and examine them.
Wow, I didn't think Ted Bundy's backstory would be so hilarious. Even in the main storyline, Garrett Graham is here to make sure that any minute now this could turn into an exploitation film. And just in case you didn't notice he walked in on an Ilsa film.
The girl that was on your bed last night, did you tie her up?
Oh.
Okay, this is totally a Woody Allen knockoff, but it does still have clever lines.
Ryan, look, I'm really happy that you're having so much fun, but I'm running home screaming today.
This is like a better version of Kissing a Fool. The charisma of the leads makes all the difference in the world. Also, it's hard for me to get upset at the movie. It's a heavy dialogue film about two deeply flawed friends, always at each other's throat, and there's a disco soundtrack, including sight gags involving people dressing like Saturday Night Fever to go to the same party. Did I write this movie in a past life? I like the gag where every single guy got the same idea to dress like Tony Manero. I'm kicking myself for not writing this!
And so, what's a nice girl like you doing in a place like this?
Although I'd probably write a different line than that, and they'd probably say fuck about 12 times for no reason.
Fuck off.
See? Something like that. But this is where he meets the woman of his dreams. See? The disco suit works every time. Just jump into her cab and tell her this.
Where did you get this?
Who are you? Where do you come from? And how many children do you want?
Seems legit. Maria is played by the late great Marcia Strassman of Welcome Back, Kotter and Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. And while this meet cute is more of a meet creep, it's okay. He tracks her by finding her diaphragm and attempting to find her name and location by visiting her doctor. And yet this is still less creepy than Kissing a Fool. I've rarely seen a love interest hate the other character this much.
Oh no. Mr. Polyester, what are you doing here?
I sense good things about this relationship. I remember when I lured someone away by showing them their diaphragm. I was maced! But the old diaphragm trick works here. He scored a lunch date. Play it cool, Alan.
Such an extraordinary thing that you've come into my life. It's like someone up there has actually been listening to me.
A benefit to a lot of this is that the movie seems well aware he's weird, like when the doctor shooed him away earlier. And here, where during his monologue, we see her straight up leaving in the background. No, you're doing it all wrong. You should have brought a lifeboat. I think we've gotten to the point where the movie is even more random than Brian's newsreels.
Brian, hi. Yeah, I'm just showing the stuff to Chief Runningbrook. Yeah, oh no, the man is speechless, Brian.
Look, we found him in the hallway. Just put him in the movie, somewhere, anywhere. Hell, it's too bad I can't show you more of the fact that Brian appears to live in a harem. Never mind a Woody Allen knockoff. Garrett is determined to turn this into a Caligula knockoff. But drama does come in when Brian wants to get a better job at another station in Hollywood. But as a side note, all I keep thinking about is that every other scene in the movie looks like it should end with Christopher Cross playing and the camera panning over to roll the end credits from Arthur. But back to the movie, even Alan is desperate to keep Garrett in the film.
If you leave, I'll fucking kill you.
How can you just Alan.
And the scene gets weirder.
Hey, this man messing with you?
Well, at the moment, my God.
New Yorkers have all come together to protect their Garrett Graham. You know, this movie really isn't that bad. When Brian says that he's engaged, it doesn't matter what he says. I am here to watch how this plays out.
Ryan, she's starring in a new play. What makes you think she's gonna just go off to Hollywood with you right away?
The woman's goal in life is to bear my child, Alan. We know this.
Yeah.
Huh?
He makes every line work. What helps is that Garrett Graham is great at saying a line like that with a smirk and irony. Alan, however, is back to annoying Maria by waiting outside her apartment.
Maria, just a second. Maria, hold on.
Sorry, she's more into the John Belushi type. Who knew that following someone who hates you upstairs to her apartment would turn out to be disastrous?
Do you have any idea how long I've been sitting out there on the street? My ass is now rent controlled.
Soup for one, because the entree filed a restraining order.
Your ass is now rent control?
Are you gonna let me in or what?
Never mind. The old rent control line always gets him in the mood. Seriously, I don't know about this guy.
You have attacked my gynecologist.
Oh, manner of speaking, eh?
You've looked up my address in the phone book and ambushed me on the street.
Well, when you put it like that, Alan sounds crazy.
Now, wouldn't it just be easier if you just asked me out on a date?
Sure!
Will you go out to dinner with me tonight?
Not if the fate of mankind hung in the balance.
Oh, thank God, it's still a restraining order romance. But it hasn't been filed yet, so he can still see himself in.
I heard a baby. Babies.
No, Alan.
There are babies
Alan,
in this apartment.
No, Alan.
Relax, people. He may want to eat a baby, but it still gets weirder.
Do you know what this means? This means that when I marry you, I'll already have a son.
Luckily, he gets thrown out. I would have gotten shot. There's suddenly a lot to break down about these scenes. Never mind that she's a professional matchmaker. Here she makes the mistake of setting up a young Michael Jeter with another guy. Irony. His performance is simultaneously very dramatic and shticky.
I just cannot live with the man who calls me pumpkin.
What a bizarre scene that had nothing to do with anything. And yet her day still gets weirder, like Alan asleep on her floor with a child's toy.
Chinese food.
Alan, it's 1:30 in the morning.
Can't this guy just find a hooker?
Come on in.
Thank you.
Why not? You'll just burst into my apartment anyway. And before you think she's starting to like him...
Ooh, not that bad. Hi.
Can I do that?
She's still not sure if he wants to eat her baby or not. But whatever. Let's have dinner before we continue with the backstory on how Donnie became great with kids on Frasier. Believe it or not, this is all leading to a point later at the end. Which is good because when it does slow down and they have quiet lines together, they can have chemistry and he can be charming without sleeping outside her door for 8 hours. Plus, some lines hit close to home.
Alan, I can't go to bed with you.
Why?
Because you're short and you're weird.
Okay, now they're just ripping off lines from me and my wife's first date. Now, if you'll excuse me, we are watching a forgotten 80s movie, so you know what that means. Merchandise! Yes, this is as good a time as any to bring back the Saul shirt. No, not this Saul, the Windy City Saul, where for a limited time, you can get our classic Saul shirt over at our Bonfire store. Click on the link in the description and in the comments and get yours now before it's gone. All it takes is one night in bed together, and he's already bringing up marriage. That's a good sign. It means he's slowing down. Before, he was always bringing up children. Oh, and good news if you had James Rebhorn and Richard Libertini on your Who's Gonna Show Up in This Movie bingo card. Richard plays her dad, who he wants advice from on how to get her to marry him. Dude, we just met, stranger! I'm surprised the flashback to when he was a child didn't reveal that he's Ralph Wiggum falling in love over a Valentine's Day card. Thankfully, we are back to the real love story, the one with Brian.
She turned me down.
Brian, it's 2:30 in the morning.
You're one to talk! I genuinely feel bad Brian's relationship didn't work out. Wait, why is Maria's picture hung up like he's a serial killer who collects sketches of his victims? They then have a poignant moment where they realize that they are the age of parents and need to grow up. That way it can be one of those mature romantic comedies with a love montage. Somewhere rats are dancing and falling in love. See, Alan has definitely grown up.
Real, let's elope.
Go home, Alan.
No, I'm serious.
Never mind, this relationship hasn't even graduated to them mutually liking each other. I'm sure screaming at her will help.
You're afraid of your own feelings. You are terrified of someone who adores you.
I guess that means you won't be babysitting for Zach Monday, huh?
You want him to? Babysitters are hard to come by. Take him on the streets, why not? Take him to work at WPCP. Oh, that's why he's acting strange. No time for kids, though. We gotta rush to another familiar face.
Giannini. I'm looking for Angelo Giannini.
Giannini,
That would be coronary care down the hall.
That nurse looks really familiar.
Hey, it's Gladys.
Oh right, it's Maggie Wheeler. Makes sense. Alan's college girlfriend was Rachel's co-worker Sophie, but all it took was Maria's dad being on death's door for her to say, maybe we should get married. And now suddenly he doesn't want to marry her because, wait, have I been a messed up person this whole time?
This means that when I marry you, I'll already have a son. When I marry you? We hadn't even had our first date.
The movie gets points for being very self-aware and self-reflective about its character's flaws, right down to him flashing back to how his parents screwed him up so much with a false idea of marriage that he would kick his mom in the womb. And yes, the whole therapist wraparound has a punchline.
What do you want from me? All I want to know is, do you want the couch or don't you?
This means I'm a...
Not bad. He got all caught up in flashback land that he's late for his own wedding, where once again Garrett is dressed as something from the Lloyd Christmas line. They're all acting surprised that he dragged along the couch salesman with him, but really, this seems par for the course with Alan, right down to the salesman giving a speech.
We all need someplace soft to park our keisters, right?
This all makes sense to me. So this is why a lot of this works. Normally when you see something kind of dated, you'll have a deeply flawed character where it comes across like the writers aren't aware their character is a creep, like Until September for instance. But here, it's so 100% aware of it that the wedding scene is the writers saying, this couple can't get married. She's doing it because her dad is sick. He's doing it because he's a lovesick nightmare. This marriage would be a disaster. He should leave and be with his one true love. Yes, his true love, the title of the movie. While I wish it just ended here, a lesser movie would have had them straight up get back together at the end, but I admire it's sort of left up to interpretation.
Last name first. We'll see what we can do for you.
Okay, that either means they're getting back together, or she's saying, F you, I'll set you up with someone terrible out of spite. The movie certainly has its flaws, and it wouldn't exist without other movies like Annie Hall and Manhattan, but it does still have some clever lines, funny sight gags, and it has a cast that immediately elevates the material. Garrett Graham is hilarious, and Saul Rubinek has a natural likability that at least makes you want to see where the movie is going, whereas if the lead didn't have that, this character would be hard to watch. Of all the forgotten movies that won the Patreon poll, it's easily the best one I've watched so far. I would have liked to have seen more from this director, but he only directed one other film after this, the 1997 film Bad Manners, which also featured Saul Rubinek. While Windy City may be our go-to example of the little-remembered big chill-sploitation, Soup for One will always be a reminder of the forgotten Woody Allen-sploitation, much like the 1979 film Something Short of Paradise. What, you forgot that film too? You don't say. We better make that one the Soup for One replacement in the next Patreon poll. Although Soup for One does leave us with one very big disappointment. At no point did he ever row away on a bed in the water.
You have experienced the male orgasm. You have experienced the female orgasm. Which is better?